Park Racing Circuit. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the Apex Racing Academy F3 Championship live on Apex Racing TV. We welcome you here to this beautiful virtual Donington Park Racing Circuit. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Joining me in the commentary box this weekend is Alessandro Dalladone with Marco Barbonera down in the production trailer, controlling all the cameras and overlays that you are seeing here this afternoon. We enter week number 4 of the championship here at Donington. Week 1 at Laguna Seca really set up the championship with a win from Alex Dunn. Then week 2, everybody started to get used to these cars, and in Sebring, Robert Hahn took the victory there. But last week in Nürburgring, a wild wreck in the front and a wild wreck at the end saw Karl Modoff go to victory lane. And now we enter week number 4. And Alessandro, this is your first week covering these cars here on Apex Racing TV. What are you most looking forward to as these F3 cars go green here at Donington? Looks like we might be having some issues with Alessandro right now.
I'm here,
right
sorry.
Now we're here in qualifying. Oh, there we go. There's Alessandro.
Sorry for the issue. As I was saying, I'm really looking forward for these great battles, as we have also the Formula 3.5 later on in the night. These tracks definitely suit this car. We have these tight hairpins at the end that will provide us with some great passing zones, and I'm 100% sure these drivers are eager to provide a great show tonight.
And Gianfranco Pagotto going to go right up to the top of the board already here in qualifying. As we just get started in qualifying, 8 minutes of qualifying, 2 laps for each of these cars to make their way around. As we take a look at David Holland, see what he can do out there on the track as he comes across the line for his lap. P7, he's going to go into a 1:21.29. Right now, Callum Bradshaw hops up to the top of the board with a 1:20.3. Here's the championship standings as they sit. We have our own point standings here on the broadcast, but these are a little bit different than the official iRacing championship, as we are using the MotoGP points system. So Gianfranco Pagotto holds the points lead with 45 points. Karl Modoff sits in second with 34. David Holland sits in third with 33. There's Alex Dunn, your week 1 winner and the original points leader, who has now dropped down into 4th after missing out on points in Sebring and the Nürburgring. Robert Hahn, also with a win in Sebring, he missed out on points at Laguna Seca and the Nürburgring. He sits in 5th. Connor Wagner in 6th. Luca Albon in 7th. Nicholas Mateo in 8th. Rod Glenard 9th. And rounding out your top 10 is Stratos Kurlikitsis. But Alessandro, with only a certain amount of cars getting the points each week, it's only the top 15 that are able to get points. You really need a good finish to be able to work your way up the point standings.
Absolutely. It's not that easy to be consistent every week, and as we are having the MotoGP standings as our points, it's very important also to finish at the top. These standings reward mostly people in the top 5, and then points are pretty much lower for the other positions. But you have to remember that you have to get here in this split to get points, and it's not always easy for people that maybe are fast but don't really have such an high rating that will give them the chance to compete every week. So that is also gonna be interesting to see.
Qualifying as about 3 minutes remaining as we take a look at Lorenzo Esposito going through this hairpin turn. Donington, a very unique course, and we're running the Grand Prix layout here at Donington, and very unique. A lot of tight turns, a lot of hairpins, and this is the final hairpin, Goddard's turn 11, coming back onto the front straightaway. He just went through the Melbourne hairpin, turn 10. That is that little boot that is at the bottom of the racetrack that the national circuit doesn't go through. They go straight past it through a chicane and back onto the front straightaway. But here in the Grand Prix circuit, they got to go through another pair of S's and then 2 hairpins before coming back onto the front straightaway. Times continue to roll on in. Jonathan Alvarez, we'll see if he can improve on his time. He sits in 15th with a 1:21.21, and it doesn't look like he'll have any improvements that time by Ismael Basso down the lawn straightaway. You can see the elevation here at Donington as well. Another unique part of this circuit as he goes through the S's at turn 9, using up those track limits, trying to get all the speed he can out of this F3 car.
I think these drivers are all doing some laps to get a taste of the circuit, of the conditions. Everybody has already done their qualifying laps, apart from Jerome Lerny, Alex Dunn and Stefan Remedy, the only 3 drivers that haven't scored a lap yet. The 20 car of Lamy is right now on its out lap, so I think he won't have the time to score a valid lap time in qualifying. He's a bit late, but I think this should be our grid for today's race, Joshua.
And that's very interesting from Alex Dunn to not make a qualifying lap, as he came out, won the opener at Laguna Seca, and then has had bad luck the last 2 rounds. Now he's not even going to qualify. Start all the way down in 27th. He's going to have a lot of racing to do in not a lot of time, as the race is only going to be 18 laps. And that might be a lot for these F3 cars, but in the scope of the entire race, that's not going to be a lot of time for Alex Dunn to work his way up through the field.
Yeah, let's say that if you are fast, you have a good chance to have a decent start. If you are in the midfield, especially in this tight track, Joshua, it's gonna be very, very hard. And I think in the first 2-3 laps we will see multiple clashes between drivers in the midfield, because compared to other tracks we've been so far in this series, like the Nürburgring last week, Donington it's a very tiny and twisty track. And it's gonna be very difficult for drivers like Alex Dunn in 26th place to make his way through the field pretty quickly.
And there's that weather on our race information panel here on the overlay. 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That is very, very cold. That's the coldest that the iRacing service will put the temperature. So a lot of grip on those tires, but it's also going to take a while for those tires to warm up in this partly cloudy weather here in Donington. Starting grid now on your screen. Callum Bradshaw will sit on the pole with Luca Albon, brother to Alex Albon, in second. Thiago Spencer in third. Will Stevens in fourth. Gianfranco Pagotto, your points leader of the ARA F3 Championship, rounds out your top 5 with Francesco Miola in 6th, Felipe Dantas in 7th, Max Bortolotta in 8th, Laszlo Sover in 9th. Flavio Dantas will round out your top 10 with Paulo Dreda in 11th, Connor Wagner in 12th, Samuel Hermer 13th, Rod Clinard 14th, Jonathan Alvarez rounds out your top 15 with Stephen Verity, David Holland, Brian Peters, Lorenzo Esposito, and Ismael Basso rounding out your top 20. Felipe Silva in 21st, Marcus G 22nd, Zoltan Zometer 23rd, Jordan Albert in 24th, Malcolm Loritzen in 25th, Alex Dunn 26th, 27th, Jerome Lamy, and rounding out your 28 car grid is Stefan Remedy. 28 cars all ready to go racing here. Alessandro, what are you expecting as I dive into turn number 1 for the first time?
It's gonna be a pretty interesting start with 28 cars around this track. It's gonna be very, very tight. I expect some drivers in the top 5 to be very aggressive to gain a lot of position, but even more from drivers that need to recover from a bad qualifying, like David Holland and Brian Peters. But we are about to go green right now.
A couple cars starting back in that late hairpin. One car jumps in the back, but we are green racing here at Donington. A great start in the back from the 20. Jerome Lamy already contact up front. The 11 making contact with the 3. That 3 car now going to be damaged as they race through turn number 1. Bradshaw keeps the lead side by side further back. Bortolotta looking to battle with the 10 of Samuel Hermer. They go side by side, but here's the battle for the lead. Already a dive up the inside. Luca Albon wants the lead. Contact made. The 3rd and 4th place car go around. One more around. That's the 11. Multiple cars around it damaged as they go through turn 2, but Albon gets away with the lead. That's the 11 of Max Bortolotta in the grass.
Oh boy, what a start. Let's see now if Albon can get P1 from Bradshaw, but as I called it before the start, plenty of drama as we have another car very slow. It's Hermer dropping positions, but Albon doesn't manage to get a pass done on Bradshaw. But for these 2 drivers, already a sizable lead on Francesco Meola in 3rd place.
this battle for the lead still holding up as Callum Bradshaw was able to get back past Luca Albon, but Albon is right there in that back wing. And you can see Francesco Miola, he came from 6th up to 3rd. He's now looking to join this battle for the lead. Laszlo Sovier also making his way up from 9th into 4th in that number 17 McLaren-inspired livery back there. But Callum Bradshaw, fastest lap in the first time by, a 1:26.116. Goes a little wide, he's loose into the grass. Goes Bradshaw, Albon to the lead. No damage for the 16 of Callum Bradshaw, but he's gonna go down to 5th, now 6th.
Cold tires for the drivers also come into place. It's not so easy to get temperature, especially with these cold conditions. Let's have a look at the replay of the start with some contact between Bortolotta and some other drivers.
As you can see, that contact with Bortolotta, that was the 28 car of Stefan Remedy, not getting a good start. Bortolotta nowhere to go. We can expect some damage to that car, so this is going to affect him going down through turn number 2. Here's where the first bit of wrecking started going on throughout the midfield as they made their way down this hard braking zone. There's one car going around. That's the 2 of Gianfranco Pagotto, your points leader, and Bortolotta gets caught up. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been the 27 of Jordan Albert. He got caught up with some car towards the midfield, and around they went. As the battle for 3rd continues, here comes Bradshaw. He went back into 5th after going in the grass. Now he's battling for 3rd in the 4th position as Albon sets the new fastest lap. Bradshaw looking to get back up into the top 3. A crossover move down into turn number 1, and he's going to take it.
Very good pass by Bradshaw, and now he's gonna try to reel down Francesco Meola, 1.8 seconds in front, but at the same time he needs to be careful to not make any other mistake, and at the same time defend from Dreita, because it's not gonna give him plenty of room to pull away.
Oh, here comes the 7 right back on him. That's Paulo Dreita gonna take back into 3rd. And the 17 of Laszlo Sovier right back behind him. Callum Bradshaw just trying to regain those positions, but he has a swarm of hungry racers around him looking to get back by as he goes now into 4th, and a huge line of cars behind him as the top 2 check out.
Battling for 3rd position is definitely not helping them as the first 2 cars are pulling away slightly every corner. In the meantime, we have still some passes in the midfield and some drivers locking up at the hairpin. Here we are with Basso, the American driver, in 15th. He gained a few positions, but Jerome Lamy right in front of him is 14th. He already gained 13, so he's our biggest mover so far.
Another fastest lap on the board for Luca Albon, 1:27.66. One car goes wide, way wide. I think that was one lapped car. That was the 23 of Zoltan Zometer who goes a lap down. Yes, that is the 23 of Zoltan Zometer. Maybe some damage to that 23 as he drops further down the order. Got lapped by the leader, Luca Albon, now falling back through the field as they're on board with Callum Bradshaw. Sat on the pole for this race, had the lead for the first about lap and a half until he hit the grass and went around into the grass. Did not get any damage, just some gravel and some dirt on those tires. Shook it off and now is racing back up here in 4th. He went back into 5th, was able to get by Laszlo Sovier and is now battling Paulo Dreita up ahead of him as they go through the S's into the Grand Prix portion of the circuit that separates the Grand Prix from the National. As they race back down into turn 10, the Melbourne hairpin, Callum Bradshaw making the move, and here comes the 17 of Laszlo Sovier. Made a look on Paulo Dreita, not able to make it happen. Dreita gonna go to the outside, blocks the 17 with a huge run on the inside. A little bit of a wheel tap between those two, but here goes Sovier up in the 4th, but Bradshaw now gonna run away in 3rd.
Great pass, very opportunistic pass, but obviously now he needs to defend. These drivers are driving really aggressive, and the 7 is off on the grass. He manages to keep it together and he's back in 7th place, but he definitely lost a lot of time and a lot of position. We will need to get back very soon.
That's the same spot that the other car went off earlier, and then another car off in the same spot as well. That's David Holland. That's where Bradshaw went off. Now Holland goes off there, and Dreda just went off there a few moments ago. So that one portion of the track, that's around turn 2, turn 3, and the old hairpin turn 4, that's really catching a lot of these drivers off guard.
We are following still the battle for 4th place. We have 3 drivers, Sover, Steven and Wagner. And Wagner behind Dreyta is trying to read them out. But this gave the chance to... we have a big dive by the 19 of Stevens on Sover, side by side, coming to the last hairpin of the track here at the end of lap 5. But Sover defends the inside and parks the car on the apex and maintains P4.
And a huge battle now going on the 17 of Laszlo Sovier, having to block multiple cars behind. This is what happens with these F3 cars. This midfield really gets into an Indy 500 type pack. And right now that's Sovier, Wagner, Stevens, Dreda, Dantas, Klinar, and I believe all the way back to Brian Peters in the 5. They're all running so close together, grabbing the slipstream off of each other. And right now the 17 is leading this back, but Connor Wagner in the 14 right behind, right on his mirror. He's gonna go to the outside, not able to make the pass happen through the left-hander. He falls back into line, but a huge braking zone coming up through turn 8 onto Starkey Straits. Nowhere close enough to make the pass happen, as more cars just race behind. The 15 pokes out of line, looking to make a pass on the 7, Apollo Dreyta, as the line continues to race. Now through the S's, cutting off that corner just slightly, back onto the straightaway. A great run right now from Laszlo Sovier to keep all these cars behind him, but he locks up. Here comes the 14, making a look to the inside. I think he had some contact with Will Stevens in the 19 behind.
You need to be very careful, because whenever you try to attack somebody, you have also to defend, because the guy behind is going to try to get the position as soon as he finds an opportunity, as Wagner is now around the outside of Stevens, and they are still side by side down the hill, but I think Wagner will have the chance to maintain the position as the right-hander is right here, and Stevens will stay in 6th place for the moment.
Oh, contact! Stevens taps Wagner! Around goes Will Stevens, and around goes Connor Wagner! Unbelievable contact and crash going through turn 7!
Yeah, you need to be careful with this. Ooh, there we go.
Kidding again.
It's retaliation time for Will Stevens. We do not condone this move, but let's go back to racing. We don't want to see these things happen here on iRacing or wherever in the world, real or virtual racing. They are nice, obviously, to watch, but not for the people that have to pay for the cars. Not here, unfortunately, on iRacing. But in the meantime, Peters, thanks to these shenanigans, goes back to P7 behind Dantas, who is leading the charger to reel down Dreyta in 5th.
And now here's the battle for 2nd. Francesco Miola was able to take that position away from Callum Bradshaw when he went in the grass, but there goes Bradshaw right on around, and he is on a rail right now. Has the fastest lap time of the race, a 1:20.02. He set that last time by, and is now 4.8 seconds back from Luca Albon. He has 11 laps to try and catch the leader. The question is, will he be able to do it? Bradshaw sat on the pole. We know he has the fastest car in a hot lap scenario, but is it possible for him to have enough time to catch Luca Albon, who is, albeit equally as fast, to be able to pull away still in this race trim?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Bradshaw obviously has plenty of speed, but as we saw from qualifying, Luca Albon, we have a mistake in front. It's Silva, Felipe Silva, going the wrong way at the S's and giving Bassen Varadi and many other drivers like Steven Remedy, who had a few issues early on in the race, a nice free position. Remedy with some front wing damage.
That's unfortunate for the 28. There's your leader, Luca Albon. That gap still 4.6 seconds, so only 2/10 made up in about a lap from Callum Bradshaw. So he's going to need to really step up his game and make sure that he can chase down Luca Albon. I'm wondering how those lap times compare in the last couple of laps from each of these drivers, because Bradshaw was also dealing with some traffic a couple of laps ago. Albon has had free track basically since lap number 2, when Bradshaw went in the grass and he was able to get around him. Last time by, it was a 120.3 for Albon, a 122.3 for Callum Bradshaw. And you were just barely able to see him at the top of your screen in that camera angle last time by. And there's Bradshaw now going through the S's as Albon heads into turn 10. And there's the 8 of Francesco Miola right on behind. Here's turn 10 from Bradshaw. Good drive from both of those top two, but still not enough time for Bradshaw to catch him. He needs to regain that position there, Alessandro.
Absolutely, but the pace of these drivers are absolutely identical. So it's gonna take probably some mistakes for Luca Albon to get the chance Callum to close down the gap. But at the same time, also Francesco Miola is slowly losing time towards Laszlo Sover in 4th place, so we might not have a chance to see a fight for the win, but 3rd place and the podium spot might be in jeopardy for the Italian driver.
And there's that lap time comparison on laps 7, 8, and 9. Sovier was faster than Miola, but not, albeit not by that much. I mean, that one lap, lap 8, I believe Miola got into a bit of an incident, but 1.6 seconds he made up on that lap, and he made up 2/10 last time by as the gap continues to close between those two. Alex Dunn sets the fastest time, a 1:20 flat. Great lap from Alex Dunn as he continues to race around back in 22nd. We talked about him. He won at Laguna Seca, and Alex Dunn's a really great racer, but he's just sitting in the back right now in 22nd. He didn't qualify, and I think he might have gotten caught up in some of the shenanigans at the front. And just as I say, Alex Dunn sets the new fastest lap. There goes Luca Albon making me wrong, and there goes Callum Bradshaw making me even more wrong last time by.
Yeah, they are putting down some very consistent and fast laps at the front of the pack, and as you can see from our lap time comparison, they are very, very similar, although Bradshaw got almost 5/10 out on lap 6. Meantime, we go to Kleiner in 10th place, rounding up our top 10 so far. I think he just made a mistake. Let's catch the replay. See him in his 9 car.
Going through turn number 1. Yeah, he might have gotten a slowdown there by him getting on the curb a little too much on the front straightaway. Interesting place to get a slowdown, but not uncommon, especially with all these drivers trying to really push the limits of those track limits. So very possible he might have gotten a slowdown there. Let those cars by to make sure that slowdown goes away, and he's back racing. Battle for 8th right now between Alvarez and Holland.
In the middle sector earlier on, in the meantime, Bradshaw scores sets another fastest lap of the race with a 1:19.888. So 4.3 is now the gap between P1 and P2, but it's still a sizable gap with 7 laps to go. It's gonna take a lot of speed for Bradshaw to close up to Albon and potentially make a pass. In the meantime, we have another pass for P8 by Holland. He stick the nose onto the inside of Alvarez and forced him to move wide to avoid contact. And also Kleiner is now trying to get P9 from... we have a spin. It's Laszlo Sover.
Oh, and the 17 is around. He's down into 10th and has those dirt on the tires, spins the wheels, and around he goes right back into pit road, taking the tow. Unfortunate for Laszlo Sover. He was having such a great race, running up in the top 5. But that's going to spell the end of his race, and you can see just gets too far on the inside, goes too wide on the outside, and around he goes right into the barriers.
Yeah, the grass catching him. there, as we have a pass for 11th place between teammates. Gianfranco Pagotto is through. There might have been some team orders there in between the DRS with Italy team. As we have also another spin at the hairpin, it's Varady, the American driver. Too much master, I think, for the 12 car.
Yeah, that looked like just getting too far on the power goes around. These tires are starting to heat up. They heat up more and more throughout the race. Not a lot of tire wear on these tires. It's more just that buildup of temperature. And there's another slowdown from Samuel Hermer, so it looks like maybe cutting that turn one a little bit too much with those rumble strips is causing that slowdown.
You know, Joshua, what also, if you go too wide, entering turn one, you cut across the pit exit, you get a slowdown there.
Oh, Verity's off track again. This is just more disaster piled on top for that 12 car as he continues to race around in P17. As we're now on board, Brian Peters looking to break his way into the top 5. He sees Felipe Dantas up ahead into turn 10, a hard braking zone through the hairpin. He sees a little bit of a door open on the inside, not close enough, gets a little loose on exit, tries to get the power down, loses the back end, albeit slightly, into turn 11, the final turn on the course, gets the power down, trying to catch Felipe Dantas up ahead. He made up a little bit of ground going through the boot, but not enough to rival that pass.
And you see all these drivers trying to get as much track as possible on the entry, and sometimes when you go too wide there, you might have a slowdown on exit, and definitely not what people want during these tight battles, as Alvarez is still trying to defend from Kleiner after letting, let's say, Holland by to avoid any contact. But a solid race for these guys. He made plenty of position compared to the qualifying position. So a solid outing for these guys, and they obviously don't want to ruin everything with a slight contact and a bent front wing, which obviously is going to cost them plenty of time towards the end.
And trying to break into the top 15 for those points is also important, especially for those drivers who have been here every single week. I'm talking about, you know, the current points leader, Gianfranco Pagotto. Even Esposito's been here pretty much every week. And around goes the 25, Ismael Basso coming through the S's. Perfect 360.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great 360 for Basso. He lost 2 positions, or 3 positions actually. But he's still pointing the right way and didn't lose that much time, so he's still 16th, and never know, he might get a few positions back very soon if these 3 are gonna fight very, very hard. You never know what is gonna happen till the checker flag is waved.
Well, as I was saying before that perfect 360, I give it a 9.5 on that one. These drivers that have been here every week, I mean, Gianfranco Pagotto, David Holland, these two have been here since the start. They've been at Laguna Seca, Sebring, Nürburgring, and they're here today at Donington. Those points are very important for them as they are here running the top split broadcast, specifically this one at 2:15 p.m. Eastern to be broadcasted on Apex Racing TV and compete for our own broadcast championship. Those points are very important for them, and both of them are running in the top 15, but every position in the top 15 gains you more and more points.
Absolutely, Joshua. And a quick reminder also that this championship is sponsored by the Apex Racing Academy, and you can access the Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integrated with VRS, wiki group coachings, as we see Peters trying to make a pass, Holland trying to make a pass on Peters for P6, and much more, so go check them out as our partners of Virtual Racing School, with plenty of setups for dirt, road, contact between Holland and Peters has to slide back in 7th place. So these partners make this great broadcast possible. Go check them out, and we are thankful to have them on board.
We also can't forget to mention, as we're mentioning sponsors, can't forget to mention SDK Gaming, providing all the amazing overlays that you are seeing on the stream, and you can have your own overlay for your league broadcasts, for your Twitch streams, or basically anything you want an overlay for with iRacing. Head to sdk-gaming.co.uk right now to take a look at all of our pricing plans for SDK Gaming. And we have a 3-car scrap going on. This is Marcus G, Samuel Hermer, and Ismail Basso. Basso was the one that did that 360 coming through the S's last time by. And the 22 of Marcus G leads this pack. Samuel Hermer and Ismail Basso behind as they come down the Starkey straightaway into the S's one more time. Bradshaw another fastest lap, but 2 laps to go. That battle for the lead has not shrunken. It is gain time in between those two, and Bradshaw needs to make up 4.8 seconds in 1 lap, but a lockup for Marcus G. Down to the inside goes Samuel Hermer, not able to make the pass happen.
Yeah, Bass trying to make a few positions after the mistake. Oh! Hermer goes very wide, locks the brake, and is now going to lose probably P15, but he still has the inside on turn 1 and makes his car very wide and fends Basso off.
Whoa! Hermer hits the grass and around he goes.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I think maybe also a bit of hot tires. Whenever you slide the new tire model in iRacing, it's very difficult to get back temperature on the correct side, so you need to cool the tires down a few corners to have plenty of grip, and definitely that caught our driver off guard as Alvarez is still in 8th position with a nice train of drivers behind trainers Lemmy and Pagotto coming back, so he might look for a few positions in this final lap, as Luca Albon is getting the white flag, so last lap of the race for our leader.
That white flag is out. We do want to remind any drivers who are tuning in to the broadcast, we'll say it again once the post-race is finished, that you can join the Apex Racing TV Discord. Our producer Marco Barbonero will put a Discord link into the YouTube chat, and you guys can join the Apex Racing TV Discord. And if you are in this race in the top 5, or pretty much anywhere in this race, and you want to talk about it with us post-race, we're looking for some driver interviews. So make sure that you join the Discord, hop into our interview waiting area, and you can be featured here on the broadcast. The white flag is out. These final battles will reach it, and one goes around in the grass. I'm not sure who that was. Oh, Brian Peters around in the 5.
It's gonna be interesting to see if he made a mistake by his own, or he was battling with someone, as Kleiner is still trying to get P7, but our leader Lucas Albon is already on the start-finish line, and he's our winner for today's race in front of Callum Braccio. But here Dantas trying to get a few position, and we have contact with Lemmy around at the hairpin. Pagotto gets his front wing, but they managed to keep on going and finish the race, as Dantas is our 5th place finisher today in front of Holland in 6th.
More cars come across the start-finish line. Taking the top 10 is Jerome Lamy. What a race from him. He started in 27th and rallied his way up into the 10th spot. More cars coming back across the start-finish line. Stephen Verity gonna barely miss out on top 15 points, and he is gonna end up in 16th. Ismail Basso takes the final point spot for our broadcast point standings as Alex Dunn comes across the line. He comes across the line in 18th. Good run from him to make it up from starting back in 26th. And the remaining cars will make their way across the start-finish line. I believe Max Bortolotta is the last one to come across the line. And there he goes in the 11. What a race here from Donington Park, and another new winner. 4 weeks of this series here on Apex Racing TV, and we have our 4th different winner. Luca Albon joins Alex Dunn, Robert Hahn, and Carl Modoff as a winner in the Apex Racing Academy F3 Championship on the top split broadcast. Callum Bradshaw finishes in 2nd. Francesco Miola in 3rd. Paulo Dreta in 4th. Felipe Dantas rounds out your top 5 with David Holland in 6th. Jonathan Alvarez in 7th. Rod Clinard in 8th. Gianfranco Pagotto 9th. Jerome Lamy rounded out your top 10 with Lorenzo Esposito, Brian Peters, Thiago Spencer, Marcus G, and Ismail Basso rounding out your top 15 in the points getting positions. with Stephen Verity in 16th, Flavio Dantas 17th, Alex Dunn 18th, Samuel Hermer in 19th, with Stefan Remedy rounding out your top 20. Malcolm Loritzen, Max Bortolotta, Felipe Silva, Connor Wagner, Zoltan, Zometer, Laszlo Sovier, Will Stevens, and Jordan Albert rounds out your 28-car grid. Alessandro, what a race around Donington.
Oh yeah, we had everything tonight here at Donington, from great passes, incidents, spins, intentional wreckings also. So we definitely had a blast during this race, and 18 laps are it's too short, Joshua. We needed some more laps because the fights in the midfield were amazing.
And we do want to remind any drivers who are tuning into the stream right now to join our Discord, hop in. If you were in this race, we want to discuss your race that you had around here at Donington with you. So make sure that if you were in the race, join the Discord and hop into one of our interview waiting areas, and we will drag you in and discuss your race around Donington here on the broadcast. But continuing our post-race show before we send all of you lovely folks home is fourth different winner in Luca Albon. But I want to talk about Gianfranco Bagotto because he has not won a race this season, but he has a good lead of 9 points in the points right now. And with a 9th place finish, he is going to grab 7 more points. That's going to put him up to 52. And Karl Modoff not competing here on the broadcast this week, so he's going to keep his 34 points. But David Holland with 33, he came home in the 6th position. He's going to come home with a total of 12 points, or sorry, 10 points by finishing in 6th. And that's going to put him at a total of 43. So that gap in between those two starting to shrink a little bit, but he still has a long ways to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important for all the drivers, even though they had some issues today, all these leading drivers like Pagotto or also Alex Dan, to keep on going and bring the car on, because as we saw today, there were multiple accidents during the race, and you can gain a lot of positions, and especially for the broadcast championship, every position counts, because you might miss a round, or you might have some bad rounds, but also other people might have some bad rounds. So every position you can gain towards the end of the race, it's always a plus. As I think we have someone joining us for the interview. It's Alex Dan, which is right on side with Joshua.
Well, Alex, I think we're all wondering exactly what happened there during qualifying. You didn't put down a qualifying lap, started all the way down in 27th. What was going on?
To be honest, I made there was a problem on lap 1 where I made a mistake, and then on the second lap, I put on the exit of the chicane, I put my rear left wheel clipped the grass, and it gave me an off track. And then for the start of the race, there was a problem with my clutch, so it slipped away and it gave me a jump start, so I had to come in the pits.
So a disastrous qualifying and start for you, but it kind of got on that start. There's a lot of carnage going on ahead of you there, but you were able to rally back into 18th. What was the secret to really gaining those positions back, especially after going into the pits and losing so much time to the field?
Well, I think I knew when I came out of the pits that I was 30 odd seconds behind the guy in front, so I just did my best to stay consistent and do quick laps, and in the end I managed to pick up a few positions from the people that crashed, so I got quite lucky with that, and I just tried to stay consistent, and it ended up working out pretty well in the end.
Well, you grabbed the win back in week 1 at Laguna Seca here at the broadcast. You missed out on points the last time you competed here, and I believe that was at the Nürburgring last week. Sorry, it was at the Sebring in week number 2, where you missed out on points there, but you're still sitting at 25 points, missed out on those broadcast points here once again. Are you focusing on those broadcast points here in the Top Split broadcast, or are you just here to show off kind of on Apex Racing TV?
No, I'm definitely focusing on the points. I think I was definitely, when I joined, I was definitely focusing on trying to win, but I made a mistake in quali, which hindered my chances, but next time I think we'll be better.
Anyone else you would like to thank before we send you off?
I'd like to thank my mom and my dad and everyone who's helped me, and also everyone at 3D Rap Squadron course.
Well, thank you very much, Alex Dunn, finishing in 18th here today at Donington Park. And Alessandro, I found what he said interesting about his qualifying laps very interesting, because he just made a mistake on the first one. He rebounded, trying to get a better lap too, but that off track really gets a lot of drivers, because when you first started iRacing, you don't realize that any 1x, 0x, 4x is going to disqualify your qualifying time. And when you're especially trying to push the limits of the car and of the track, that can bite you in the backside a lot of times during qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why also qualifying it's very, very difficult, and you need a bit of strategy to play it pretty well. I think the best strategy is to set the first lap as a benchmark lap, let's say, where you can improve a little bit in the second, but at the same time you have a time just in case you make a mistake in the second one, to not start at the far back of the field. And then in the second one, depending on tires, temperatures, strategy might change. But on the second one, give everything you've got and try to get the best time you can possibly have, if you are not so confident in the first one, where you can already put a decent lap time.
Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors once again here on Apex Racing TV, starting with Virtual Racing School, 50+ data packs available, and weekly group coaching sessions as well, track guides, setups, data analysis software, one-on-one coaching. You can find it all at Virtual Racing School. And Apex Racing Academy is integrated with Virtual Racing School. Over on Apex Racing Academy, you can find 29 data packs, setups, track guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and more. So head over to apexracingac.com. We'd also like to thank SDK Gaming for providing all the overlays that you see here on the broadcast. And you can have your own overlays for your race broadcasts. And you can stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing, even with timing towers, relative boxes, fuel calculators, and more. SDK-gaming.co.uk to view all those pricing plans. The next time we see you here on the broadcast, 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time next Saturday, we are going to be heading to Barcelona for week number 5 of the series. Then in week 6, we're at Zolder. Next week, Detroit Grand Prix, Belle Isle. Then Road America, Okayama, Interlagos, Road Atlanta, and Monza to round out the season. For Marco Barbonera, Alessandro Dallatone, I am Joshua Lee. Thank you for tuning in, and we are saying goodbye from Donington.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.